So we've seen where animation lives inside the scene. It is underneath the object as a function curve or expression, but also underneath the model as a mixer source. And here animation, we have the up clip. You can always access these sources from inside the Explorer here in Sources Clips, and you can access them in the folders here. So anytime you store something, it will actually add this to the animation sources folder. If I go back to the scene root, ways which we can access files externally exist as well. So here we have the up clip and the source properties. If I were to save this and go to animation, inside the actions I'm going to save this as I'm just going to call it up like this, and it actually has saved it as a preset. If I go into my browser now, there we go, the up has been saved here. You can drag and drop it inside the mixer. If I now go back to my sources, you notice we have an up preset. This is because it is a different file. I've dragged it in from an external file rather than using it inside here. So anytime you bring in a preset, it will append it with underscore preset. You can always save a little thumbnail every time you save a preset. So here is my cube, and inside my source here, if I were to save it, here use render region as a thumbnail. If I override this, yes I do. If I go back now to my browser and turn on the little icon here, you can see that it's associated with an icon. These can always be dragged and dropped into the mixer, but you can also put them on a toolbar as well. So you can create a library of presets, and you can export this library as well. In addition, we also have the ability to load and offload the source data, and we can also have it so that the data will always live outside the scene. So if I were to use, say, the external native binary format here, and let's just I'll call it up again, but we're going to use it as the extension EANI. And now as soon as I offload this, there we go, the function curves have been removed. You can notice it's been removed from this clip, and inside my browser, if I go here, there, it is now living as a EANI source file. I can always load it back into the scene as well, but when I save the scene, it will actually be saved external to the scene, so external storage is living here. These can also be dragged and dropped into the mixer as well. Another source is from the function curve. If I open up the animation editor here and look underneath this one, I have some animation of my sphere going up and down. Any curves themselves can also be offloaded externally or saved and exported. I'm going to export it as a raw file here, and inside my database fcurves, I'm going to call this, I'll just call this cycle, and I'm just going to save that. So now if I were to change the data inside here, let's say if I just deleted these points, at any stage I can go and import like so. Controlling the amount of animation inside the scene will actually decrease the overhead in memory. It will also give you a lot more control, particularly when you come to do character work, to save them as presets or external binary files. This will help a lot of throughput of animation inside the scene. One final note is for expressions. If I were to put an expression on this, just use the current frame and apply. Here we can see we have an expression loaded. I can also save it as a function curve or save it as an expression as well. I can just save this as just FC, like so. That'll do for me. And here we've got the expression. In addition, we can go and just view the text editor, and there we go. We can copy and paste from anything which supports the copy and paste function. We can save this out in a text file as well. Most of the time you'll be using animation lives inside the scene, but having access to external animation will help control the setups and animation files a lot more simply if you have predefined animations which you can reuse. Much cheaper, much more simple.